He's Tony. I'm Mike. This is week 2 of the Action Bowl.
Watching you break Jackie Chan, probably the best thing that happened to me this week. But we're here to draw for week 2. Week 2, if you recall, our selections were Wesley Snipes and Chuck Norris. We have our bowls. Mike will be selecting first. He will be drawing for Chuck Norris.
For Chuck, we got, let's see here. Oh, one too many. Firewalker. All right, and then for Mr. Snipes, we're going to have
Wesley bringing the big guns. We are watching Blade. So this promises to be an entertaining week of action films as opposed to last week.
And I haven't seen Blade in a while, and so while I know it's one of your particular favorites, for me it's okay. It's not the greatest thing in the world, so I don't know, maybe closer than I think.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think the averages are going to come into play here quite a bit on this one, and it's also this is a radically different styles of action movie on this one. It is a legitimate horror superhero action film versus an action comedy film that's in the vein of a bit of a parody of the Indiana Jones film. So I think it's going to be interesting, and I think that we're in for something fun this week. So
all right. This week we have Wesley Snipes versus Chuck Norris. What are our movies we are watching today, reviewing?
Wesley Snipes drew Blade, and Chuck Norris drew Firewalker.
Let's talk about Firewalker first.
Let's talk about Firewalker first.
F this movie. That's what I'm saying about this first.
I'm going to be honest. This movie is a guilty pleasure of mine. I have actually enjoyed this movie for some time. And
you are guilty,
for
sure, of liking some trash. And this is some fucking trash. This is some of the most bland-ass bullshit I've ever seen in my fucking life, dude. And the sad thing is, like, it's like a dish like prepared by an incompetent chef. The ingredients are fine. You got Chuck Norris, who's okay. Louis Gossett Jr., who puts in some good performances. Melody
Anderson.
Thank you. Who's hot as hell.
And Dale Arden from Flash Gordon.
And Sonny Linden from Predator.
Yeah, and you also have John Rhys Davies in there as well, just to throw that into the mix.
So it's like, well, what the happened here? Because the sets aren't the greatest thing in the world.
No.
The production is the greatest thing in the world, but it's like, it's not awful, but it's just bland. Like,
yes.
the action is not exciting. The comedy is awful. The chemistry is there, but not the romantic chemistry. I am not buying Chuck Norris
and Melody Anderson.
Yeah, no. It's a dad-daughter relationship thing going on there.
It's weirder than that. It's actually, you can tell that, like, she's physically not attracted to Chuck Norris at all. But it's in the script, so she's got to play like she is. And I'm glad that that's never actually consummated on screen.
Yes.
But where this movie works is Louis Gossett Jr. does the heavy lifting. He's funny in this.
Just sand beaches, sipping champagne in fine restaurants, gambling in casinos, and women. Man, I can't wait. I don't remember inviting you.
Like the comedic
He
part.
tries his best.
Yes. He delivers as well as anybody does in the course of this film. Number one. Number two, Chuck Norris can't act.
Ding, 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 ding.
If he's not pulling off his tough guy shtick,
Yeah.
it comes off completely disingenuous.
Yes.
And that is the one thing I will say about this film is Chuck Norris's performance is meh. He is the weakest link.
It's flat. It's so flat.
But this also is following, like everybody decided to get in on trying to do an Indiana Jones style film in the mid 80s, and this is one of those.
And this is Canon and Golden Globus.
Yeah.
And I'll let you get into that.
I was going to say, there was budget thrown at this. There was money thrown at this. They thought they were kind of onto something. Indiana Jones came out, Raiders of the Lost Ark came out, and then Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom came out, and everybody decided that they wanted to get in on it. There was Alan Quatermain, that was Richard Chamberlain, and Sean Connery did one before he actually showed up as Indiana Jones's father, and there was a ton of these. Tom Selleck did one, High Road to China or something like that.
I forgot all about these things. And there's a good reason why, because they suck. You know, I mean, let's face facts here. The reason why Indiana Jones all stuff works is because you got Steven Spielberg running the show. I mean, because let's face it. I mean, because really the only other action type thing like this, where there's hidden treasure and stuff like that works, is Romancing the Stone,
which again was part of this trend of films. There was also, and everybody wanted to go to they wanted to go to Mexico or South America, because it's always, well, we can't do Egypt because Indiana Jones did that. How about we go to Central America, or how about we go to someplace with Mayans or Aztecs? Because even Jeff Goldblum and Cyndi Lauper did Vibes, and it always ties into some psychic phenomena, and even this one is guilty of that as well.
What is it?
It's dust, bones, magic.
They kind of hint at it, but it's never really done, except for like with the Indians. You got Tall Eagle, and what was Sunny Linden's bad guy?
He wanted to be the Firewalker.
What was his name?
His name was
name
not appearing in this film. I don't know that anybody actually said his name in this, to be perfectly honest.
They did. I still remember what it is. No, I'm not going to post it.
But I will say, I'm editing it, so I might. But that all being said, there's some parts.
I forgot about that. Well, then we're going to throw it here. Here's his name.
Billy from Predator. That's his name. So, but there were some parts of this that had me laugh out loud, because there's that whole bit where like they're trying to like entrance Melody Anderson, and you have the two Indians that are having a psychic like hockey game between the two of them, and one of them is shaking a snake over a fire.
Hopefully that ends up in the editing room floor, but we'll see.
That all being said,
there will not be a clip of that here.
That all being said, it's corny as hell. It's cheesy as hell. It is predictable as hell. But Louis Gossett Jr. is so charming in this film.
He tries.
He really is.
Does.
But this is a Chuck Norris vehicle.
And that's the problem. There's not enough Chuck Norris kicking ass. And the sad thing is, even half the time when he's kicking ass, it's not shot very well.
No.
And I don't know how, because I know Cannon's done Chuck Norris films where he kicks ass, and it looks great. But it ain't here. It ain't in this film.
I'm gonna chalk this one up to the director and the editor. And the other thing is all these two camera kicks. Like every time Chuck Norris, like there's that bar fight, and like every time that he's gonna knock somebody out, his foot comes flying at the camera. This shit ain't in 3D. I don't need that. Sorry, but the other thing is that the action scenes in this are really tepid. They're like forced in. Like, well, you know what? We got to have a bar fight, and then like they go down to Mexico, and they're like, well, we need an action sequence here. Well, what do we do? How about another bar fight? And so they become repetitive, and it's like all of Chuck Norris's signature bullshit moves where he grabs the spear and breaks it with one arm, and then finishes it with the spin kick. It's Chuck Norris could not have phoned this shit in any harder than he did. And I don't know why. This had the potential to be a star maker, like really put him out there as action comedy kind of star, and it didn't. I almost feel like he was insulted by the fact that he was doing an action comedy and not, I'm Chuck Norris and I'm gonna, beat everybody's ass for 90 minutes on screen. So I get your response to this. I really genuinely do. So I don't know what else to say about this. So let's talk some scores. That all being said,
Well, you reveal yours
I was going to
first,
say, because I'm the guilty pleasure guy.
Because I'm curious what you score in this, because you actually like this for whatever fucking reason. I don't get it.
For Firewalker, I gave the plot a 6. And
Are you fucking kidding me? That's the most fun. What? It's the most generic fucking plot that ever existed. How did you give us a 6?
I gave this a 6 because it was, they didn't do an origin story.
Oh, fuck you. What's the next
No,
score?
wait, no. They did not do an origin story. They kicked it off. These are two guys that have known each other for a long time, and Melody Anderson gets dropped in the mix, and she's there to hire them. So there was a little thought that was put into it, because they could have done the easy, cheap way, which is to literally do an origin story.
They did everything else easy and fucking cheap. Did you see the sets in this fucking movie?
So the style is a 5. It is perfectly serviceable. It is absolutely average in every regard. There's nothing extraordinary about any of the fight scenes. There's nothing really all that terribly interesting. There's some cute moments. There's some funny moments.
I can tell you this, I didn't give it a 5. I can see how you could give it a 5. That's more believable than your 6.
And because I, like I said, this is a guilty pleasure. For the fun score, I gave it a 7.
Oh, you got
I know, and I know that you're going to take issue with that one. But I did give it a 7 because I do actually.
Nobody in their right mind would give this thing a fucking 7 for fun?
I had fun with it.
Were you high?
It. No.
Were you drunk?
I was sober. Completely stone sober.
I got fucking nothing. I got fucking nothing.
I'm looking forward to hearing your numbers.
Plot 2, style 2, fun 2, and I think that's being kind of generous. F this movie.
Tell us how you really feel about it.
The scores say it all. A total of 6. And I think it's being kind of generous. You know what? I enjoyed Jackie Chan's piece of shit more than I did this fucking movie. And that movie sucked. I was being generous there too. This movie. This should not be close. The fact that you made it close with these shitty scores. Wow.
I did not make it close with these shitty scores. I
guess we'll find
judged
out.
it fairly and honestly, at least according to me and my taste in films.
Good fucking lord.
So, all right, let's.
You gotta tell us your scores in the comments. I gotta know this stuff. So, well, let's talk about Blade.
Wait! I will say this. I know that Firewalker has an 8% on Rotten Tomatoes,
and rightly fucking so.
Oh
my fucking god!
I am the 8%. So
the whole 8%.
Up next, Wesley Snipes is bringing the goods with Blade.
You know, it's been a while since I've seen this movie, and I gave it a rash of shit because you love this movie, and I was kind of like tepid on it, and I started watching it, and the first third of the movie I really enjoyed, and then I got to the second third, and then I remember why I really don't care for this movie all that much. It's not a bad movie. It just, as it goes on, it drags. The first third is like great though. It's got the setup is great. Wesley Snipes totally embodies that character very well.
Yes.
The setting's great. Like it's got that dirty, gritty feel that a proper horror movie should. And Donald Logue, is that his name? The guy that plays Quinn?
I'm gonna be naughty. I'm gonna be a naughty vampire god.
I love his character. His portrayal of Quinn is
dirty,
up there.
Dirty redneck vampire.
and it is to me, it's like the proper spiritual successor to what's his name from Near Dark, from Bill Paxton.
Oh,
Gee whiz, if you're not gonna serve me a drink, well, I'll just have to drink his. How can you drink that shit?
Was it Severin? Is that his
I think
character's
so.
name?
Yeah, Severin. Yeah.
Is great chef's kiss performance.
Yeah.
I loved it. But then they get to Deacon Frost. And I'm sorry, but Steven Dorff is not an intimidating guy. He's not scary. He doesn't cross scary. And then the politics of the vampire thing are just stupid. It's like a bunch of like babies at a table. And I love the one, like the main vampire's like insult. Oh, you don't stand Frost. You're not a pure blood. And that's his only comeback for like everything Frost is doing. But when you don't get it, you're not pure blood. You're just turned. And that's like his answer for everything.
Pretty much.
And it's stupid. And then the blood god plot, we're going to translate, these ancient texts. We're going to bring about the blood god. Well, spoilers, he brings about the blood god and Blade still beats him. So it's like, well, he wasn't much of a fucking god now, was he? He was a puny god at best. So
I was just going to say, it's like one of the miracles of modern chemistry, because it was all down to EBTA.
And that's the other thing, too, I don't like about shit like this, is they introduce science elements to vampire mythology. I don't want science in my supernatural. Keep that shit separate. I don't want no cure for vampirism and stuff like that. No, stakes, shit like that, you kill motherfucker, there's no coming back. And that's my only real gripe with Near Dark, which is a near perfect movie.
Yeah.
But I don't like that aspect of that movie. I always hated that.
So,
So-
I actually kind of like the scientific explanation for this, because it shows that there was some world building there, that they actually stopped and they thought this shit through. They didn't just like throw out whatever, or just go with like, oh, we'll just go back to the mythology, because different cultures have different mythologies about vampires. So it's nice that they actually made it coherent in that regard. My take on this one. But the other thing is, you're absolutely right. The first third of the movie is a masterpiece. The second third of the movie, I really, really like. The third act is where this movie kind of lets
Falls
you down.
apart.
And
The
that
CGI does not help in that at
No,
all,
no.
especially in the final scene where they're battling out. Oh, the CGI is terrible.
Yeah. And the thing is, I know this for a fact, that when they were making this movie, they had a very different ending in mind, and they showed it to test audiences, and the test
What was
audience
it?
didn't like it. Apparently, there was like a whole apocalypse thing that happened outdoors. It was not just all within that one room.
Now, see, that would have been cool.
And then they literally went and reshot it, and then they reshot it again to make release. Now, I will also say this.
This is studio interference.
This is the granddaddy of the MCU right here. This was the first superhero movie that was done on a very modest budget with a character that no one had actually heard of, that didn't actually go to a comic book shop, and it killed at the box office. And if it wasn't for this, nobody would have taken the Spider-Man risk that Sony did when they threw $200 million at a movie. Because this proves that you could do it. You could do it for an adult audience, and you could make money. And here's the third thing. This is rated R, and it's a hard R. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about this.
I think you easily slap a PG-13 on here. There is no nudity in it. There's barely any cussing in it. And the blood that's in it is fucking CGI.
Not all of it. Not all of it.
The majority of it.
But there is, that is distracting to me, the CGI blood. And the effects have not held up well. I'm going to throw that out there right now. But Wesley Snipes and Chris Christopherson own these roles. And the fact that they're getting ready to try to do a remake of this, and they keep having creative teams walk off because they're like, well, what do you mean? We can't do this, we can't do that, we can't do this, we can't. Then it's not Blade. And
Yeah.
they walk. Yeah. So
As you should.
I
should.
hate to say it. If Marvel and Disney are going to try to pull a PG version of this film, it deserves to tank. But as it stands, Wesley did something that had never been done. He was a mid-level action star actor. He was given a very modest, I think, $60 million for this film. And
Wait. He wasn't given 60
well,
million.
the production
The film
company
was
was given
given
$60
$60
million total. So, but the thing is that you can see that it was all spent on film.
Yeah.
And to get down to it, style, soundtrack still holds up today. That has a bumping soundtrack. When you hear that first bars of music when they're walking into the rave at the very beginning of it, you know you're watching Blade.
This is true, but I think that the techno music overall has just kind of died. I mean, I know there's still people that like EDM and shit like that. It never was quite my jam. But, I mean, it's period appropriate for what they're doing with this
Absolutely.
thing. And Wesley Snipes acts the fuck out of this role.
Yes.
All day long. Chris Christopherson does a great job. I mean, really, most of the people that are in it acted very well, except for the chick that plays Mercury. That's the most annoying I've ever seen fucking on film. Why are you even in here? You're useless. You have like 2 lines in the whole thing. You just shut the fuck. Why are you even in it? Sorry.
Don't beat around the bush. Tell me how you feel about it. But that all being said, the action sequences are great, and they look like nothing else that had been done to that point because they selected a martial art that had never really been put on film before, and it works. It works really well. The fight scenes look brutal.
You know what they need to do with this? Instead of redoing it, just remaster it and fix the CGI where it's spotty. And that's it. That's all you need to do. Because other than that, really, it's, I mean, while it's not my favorite film, it's still a competent film.
Yes.
I wouldn't say don't watch it.
Okay, but this is the Action Bowl, and this is all about the cold, hard numbers. So I want to hear your numbers for Blade.
Much kinder than Firewalker. Not great, but kinder. Plot 4.
Really?
Yeah. Looking back on it, I probably could have given it a 5 or a 6, but that's what I got. That's my official score is 4. Style is a 5. Fun is a 5. Again, the first third of this movie is great, but the problem is there's a second and third act, which really sucks a lot of the scores. What could have been potentially higher scores out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it held up like all the way through, this season could have been like a 16 or 17 or even higher score. Instead, it's got a 14 total.
So, well, my numbers are a little nicer than yours. For the plot, I gave it an 8. And I'll tell you why I gave it 8. Because we have 2 guys that are vampire hunters that are going up against the Vampire Nation. I don't know a whole lot of action films that have that as a plot. So it's unique in that. And again, it was adapting a comic book character that had never really been done. And I realized that this movie is 20 years old now, but it still works.
Yeah.
And you don't see action films like this.
So I just remembered, the whole blood god thing is why I knocked it down.
I get that.
For the plot.
I'm going to say that the blood god thing, it could have worked, but this concept of it didn't. That's why I'm giving it an 8 on this. Now, for style, I give it an 8 as well, because I can't think of another movie that looks like this, that is filmed like this, that performs like this. From the fight sequences to the cinematography to the color palette of everything to the way that they color, the way that they colored the actual shots to where everything was kind of blue or washed out, but the red is really red. I love that look to it. There was some really thought and consideration.
I will say this. It did inspire a lot of films after this, because there's a lot of films that look like this, but it wasn't really till after this film. So I'll give you that 8.
So
I'll give you that.
For fun, I give it a 7. I enjoy the hell out of this, and I enjoy the hell out of it because Wesley Snipes and Chris Christopherson. Yeah. When he first appears online and his first line of dialogue,
Freeze! Fuck, are you out of your damn mind?
That's a character intro. You don't get that anymore. No one would ever dream of making that any other character's first line. And Wesley sells the shit out of this. I giggle like an idiot. I love the fact that they did it, but the script could definitely have used a little bit more work. But it doesn't take away from the fun that I have watching this film. So for me, this is a 25.
No, it's a high score. Yeah. Going back to the fun. Again, the head vampire sucks the fun of it for me. Mercury sucks the fun of it for me. Steven Dorff as a villain sucks the fun out of it for me. So that's why I'm justifying my 5.
I get it. No. I completely understand that this is a flawed film, but it's also a very influential film.
Absolutely, is influential all day long. And true, without this, there'd be no
Twilight.
They're probably going to spy. God, I wish that was the case. Well, we got a winner and we got a loser here. So
I gave Firewalker a very generous 18 to your 6. So that's a 24, which gives it an average of 12. And I gave Blade 25 to your 14, which is a 39, which gives us an average of what is half of 39? It'd be 19 and a half. So we have a definite winner here. That means, Chuck, You're not moving on, and deservedly so. So the scores have been added and averaged, and we have a winner, and Chuck Norris, action icon, is action gone. Next week, Cynthia Rothrock goes up against Kurt Russell, so tune in to catch that episode and all of our commentary, and we will see you on week 3 of the Action Bowl.
You have an invitation, Kado,